Hello, and welcome back to Bible Witch Bible Corner. Today, we're going to continue in Acts chapter 27. I'm going to read verses 19 through 27, starting with the English Standard Version. And on the third day, they threw the ship's tackle overboard with their own hands, when neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and no small tempest lay on us. All hope of our being saved was at last abandoned. Since they had been without food for a long time, Paul stood up among them and said, "Men, you should have listened to me and not have set sail from Crete and incurred this injury and loss. Yet now I urge you to take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. For this very night there stood before me an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I worship, and he said, 'Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar, and behold, God has granted you all those who sail with you. So take heart, men, for I have faith in God that it will be exactly as I have been told. But we must run aground on some island.' When the 14th night had come, as they were being driven across the Adriatic Sea, about midnight the sailors suspected that they were nearing land." New Century Version. A day later, with their own hands, they threw out the ship's equipment. When we could not see the sun or the stars for many days, and the storm was very bad, we lost all hope of being saved. After the men had gone without food for a long time, Paul stood up before them and said, "Men, you should have listened to me. You should not have sailed from Crete. Then you would not have all of this trouble and loss. But now I tell you to cheer up, because none of you will die. Only the ship will be lost. Last night an angel came to me from the God that I belong to and worship. The angel said, 'Paul, do not be afraid. You must stand before Caesar, and God has promised you that he will save the lives of everyone sailing with you. So men, have courage. I trust in God that everything will happen as his angel told me. But we will crash on an island.' On the 14th night, we were still being carried around in the Adriatic Sea. About midnight, the sailors thought we were close to land." Okay. So here we have what some people would call an "I told you so" moment. Because Paul does get up and he does say, "Hey, I told you we shouldn't be sailing. The weather was going to be too rough." But here's what I like about what he says. Yes, he does that "I told you so" thing first, but then he goes into, "But that's okay. Because even though we've lost all of this, none of us will die." Now, how the people of the ship reacted, it doesn't really tell us. It just says that after Paul spoke, they were still being thrown about in the sea for 14 more days. So the thing that I find interesting here is none of the people will die, but the ship will be destroyed. And here's why I find that interesting. It is God basically, at least this is how I view it, and if I am wrong, please tell me in the comments. But to me, this is God basically saying earthly possessions mean nothing. Earthly possessions will rot, they will disappear. But faith and trust in me and eternal life with me is just that, eternal. It will never end. So, Paul is still trying to give this whole crew on this ship hope. He does tell them, though, like I say, that the ship will crash, it will be destroyed. So even though he's trying to give them hope, he is also giving them a little bit of bad news with the hope. The good news for us is if we have our faith in God and only in God, none of our earthly possessions matter. We can't take our earthly possessions with us to heaven. So we just need to keep that in mind. I hope you find encouragement in this, and I hope you have a wonderful God-centered day. Bye.